The idea of a city on Mars once belonged entirely to fiction. It lived in paintings, novels, and optimism unconstrained by physics. Mars was imagined as a destination, not a home, a place to visit, explore, and then leave behind. Even as robotic probes mapped its surface and rovers traced its ancient scars, the assumption remained quietly unchallenged. Humans do not stay on Mars. SpaceX changed the framing of that assumption, not by claiming Mars would be easy or safe or welcoming, but by insisting that permanence, not exploration, was the real objective. From the beginning, the vision was not flags and footprints, but infrastructure. Not missions, but migration. A city on Mars was not presented as a triumph of engineering alone, but as a necessity, a second branch of civilization independent enough to survive without Earth. That distinction matters because a city is not a base. A base depends on supply lines, on constant resupply, on external rescue. A city must endure failure. It must produce its own air, its own water, its own energy. It must absorb mistakes without collapsing. SpaceX's plan, whether fully realized or not, is built around this idea of resilience. Not comfort, not elegance, but survival through redundancy and scale. The first step is transportation, and here SpaceX diverged sharply from every previous approach. Instead of treating rockets as expendable tools, SpaceX treats them as infrastructure. Starship is not designed for singular hero missions. It is designed to fly repeatedly, frequently, and cheaply enough that Mars is not an exception, but an extension. The goal is not to send one crew safely. It is to send thousands, then tens of thousands, over many launch windows. Mars dictates the rhythm. Every 26 months, Earth and Mars align closely enough to allow efficient travel. SpaceX's architecture assumes waves of launches, cargo first, humans later, building capability incrementally. The early missions do not focus on people at all. They focus on machines that make the next missions possible. Power systems, mining equipment, chemical plants, habitats that arrive empty and wait. When humans arrive, they do not arrive to settle a blank world. They arrive to inhabit a scaffold already in place. Mars is hostile in ways that are easy to underestimate. The atmosphere is thin, offering little protection from radiation. The surface is cold, dry, and exposed to cosmic particles that Earth's magnetic field blocks effortlessly. There is no breathable air, no liquid water on the surface, no biological support system waiting to help. So the city does not begin above ground. Early habitats are buried beneath regolith, Mars's dusty soil, using it as shielding against radiation. Structures are pressurized not for comfort, but for efficiency. Volume is minimized. Walls are thick. Every cubic meter of space must justify itself. Life on early Mars is constrained not by imagination, but by mass. Water becomes the first currency. Mars has water, but not where humans can simply collect it. It exists as ice, locked beneath the surface or trapped in polar caps. SpaceX's plan assumes extraction, drilling, melting, filtering. Water is split into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for fuel. Nothing is wasted. Every molecule is tracked. Every loss matters. This closed-loop thinking defines the city's early years. Air is recycled. Waste is processed. Heat is captured and reused. Mars does not forgive inefficiency. A city there is less like a frontier town and more like a spacecraft that cannot shut down, ever. Energy is the second foundation. Solar power dominates early plans, despite Mars receiving less sunlight than Earth. Vast solar arrays spread across the surface, dust constantly threatening to reduce efficiency. Nuclear power supplements this, compact, reliable sources that operate through storms and long nights. Energy is not abundance. It is margin, enough to survive worst-case scenarios. Food follows. There is no soil ready for agriculture. Martian regolith is toxic, lacking organic content, and containing perchlorates harmful to humans. Food is grown hydroponically in controlled environments where light, nutrients, and water are precisely regulated. Crops are selected not for taste, but for efficiency, yield, and reliability. Early settlers eat what grows best, not what they prefer. Over time, biology adapts to engineering. Plants are modified, systems improve, variety slowly increases. But food remains a reminder that the city exists inside a machine. Nature is invited in cautiously, never trusted completely. As population grows, the city begins to change character. What starts as survival architecture becomes social space. Modules connect, corridors widen, private spaces emerge. Humans reshape the environment psychologically as much as physically. A city is not just shelter, it is culture, memory, and identity. Mars must become a place people can imagine growing old. Yet Earth is always present. Communication delays stretch from minutes to nearly half an hour. Conversations lose immediacy. Emergency support is impossible. Mars settlers learn quickly that help does not arrive. Decisions cannot wait for approval. Autonomy is not a philosophical goal. It is enforced by distance. Over time, dependence shifts. Manufacturing moves to Mars. Spare parts are produced locally. Raw materials are processed on site. The city transitions from fragile outpost to semi-independent system. Earth remains a partner, but no longer a lifeline. This is the moment the city truly begins to exist. Not when the first humans arrive, but when Mars can lose contact and continue anyway. Governance evolves in parallel. Laws written for Earth strain under Martian reality. Resource allocation, risk tolerance, population growth, everything is magnified. Mistakes cost lives. Redundancy becomes ethics. Planning becomes survival strategy. Mars does not allow romantic failure. Generations pass. Children are born under lower gravity. Their bodies adapt in ways not fully predictable. Mars becomes normal to them. Earth becomes abstraction. Identity shifts subtly but irreversibly. The city stops being a project and starts being a place. At scale, the city expands above ground. Domes appear. Transparent structures offer filtered sunlight. Not because they are efficient, but because humans need sky. Green spaces emerge, carefully engineered ecosystems that mimic Earth imperfectly but meaningfully. The city grows not outward recklessly, but deliberately, constrained by energy and atmosphere. Mars remains dangerous. A cracked seal, a power failure, a dust storm, none are trivial. The planet never stops reminding its inhabitants that it is not theirs. Survival requires constant vigilance. Complacency is lethal, and yet the city persists. SpaceX's vision does not assume perfection. It assumes iteration. Failure is expected, absorbed, corrected. The city is not built in one design. It evolves, shaped by necessity more than ideology. The ultimate goal is not comfort. It is continuity. A civilization that exists on more than one world is harder to erase. Mars is not a backup Earth. It is a divergence, a parallel experiment in survival. Different gravity, different risks, different future. If Earth falls silent, Mars does not immediately follow. That is the logic beneath the ambition. A city on Mars is not about conquest or escape. It is about refusing singularity, refusing to let all of human history remain tied to one fragile planet. Whether SpaceX succeeds fully is still unknown. Physics allows the attempt. Engineering strains under the scale. Biology resists adaptation. Human psychology complicates everything. But the trajectory is clear. Mars will not be settled by accident. It will be built deliberately, slowly, and at immense cost. Not just in resources, but in certainty. Those who live there will do so knowing they cannot leave easily, knowing the planet does not care whether they succeed.